If you have got the suggestion of this particular video, or if you are watching this video, I can assure you that by the end of this session, two things would become very clear. The very first is that why the next 4 months are most important if you're preparing for UPSC Civil Service Examination 2026. And second, what ideally you should be doing in the next 4 months, which is the particular area where you need to basically focus upon. Hello everyone, my name is Aditya. Welcome to your own channel, the IS Track. Now, see, I know that most of you are watching this particular video, they're serious aspirants, so I won't waste much of your time and I'll directly get to the point. See, your Civil Services Prelims examination would be on 24th May 2026. So it's almost 8 months from now. It's far from now. And then your mains examination would be starting from 21st of August 2026. So it's even farther. It's almost 11 months from now. But the difference between the selection and the failure, this would actually depend upon the next 4 months. The next 4 months are going to decide whether your name would be in the list or not. And I'll tell you the reason. See, there are many aspirants who are right now overemphasizing or over-focusing on the prelims. See, prelims is definitely one of the most important stages of the examination. I'm not denying that fact. But prelims is a particular stage which is just of qualifying nature. Doesn't matter whether you score 180 or you score 150 or you score 95. If the cutoff is 85, all are same. It just gives you a kind of a gate pass for the main examination. So ultimately what really matters is that how you perform in the mains exam. Now, see, when we are talking about the mains examination, what you have to understand is many people think that it's a game of knowledge. See, apart from knowledge, there is one thing which you'll have to understand. There are two very important constraints which are there in the main examination. The very first is the time constraint. You have to deliver within those 3 hours for every GS paper. The second is the space constraint. For the 10 marker, in the GS papers, you have 2 pages of space. And for the 15 marker, you have 3 pages. So what you have to understand is that you'll have to justify the demand of the question within that time frame and within that space. That is what you have to understand. So it's not just about the game of knowledge. There are many knowledgeable people who study a lot, but again, who are not able to express themselves and ultimately they fail in the examination. Now, what UPSC is actually looking for, you'll have to understand that. The very first thing is the clarity. That by what clarity you have with respect to a particular topic, how well you are able to justify the demand of the question. Many times what happens is we tend to write what we know, not what is being asked. That is what you have to understand. Second thing is the structure. Structure is very important. See, generally when we talk about the structure, we count it as the introduction, the body and the conclusion. But these days what we are seeing is that the questions are coming in such a format where you have different subcomponents of the question. So you'll have to make the structure in such a manner. That is what you have to understand. So the question would be having a lot of components and you'll have to justify each and every component with proper structuring. Then there is an aspect of balance. In many of the answers which I see, many a times there is a disproportionate weightage given to a particular section. Let's say the student is writing about the challenges. He would write 7 to 8 challenges and way forward only 3 to 4 way forwards. So that should not be there. There has to be a proper balance in the answer. Next is brevity. That is, see, you cannot elaborate. It is the optional where you elaborate. In the GS papers, it is all about the range of information. समझो इस चीज को. That when we talk about the optional paper, it is about the depth of knowledge. And when we are talking about the depth, you usually write in the paragraph format by elaborating it in different dimensions. But when we are talking about the GS, you'll have to be brief. Give very brief point with proper example. That is going to give you an advantage. Again, what I'm trying to say is that if you don't develop the answer writing practice now, the abilities, you'll not be able to do it in the 3 months after the prelims. That is what you have to understand. So don't think that if you'll just focus upon the prelims, in the months after prelims, you'll have enough time and you'll be able to prepare for the mains. That is not going to happen. You'll have to first give proper attention and focus towards the mains. Now, the next part. Why answer writing needs to be practiced. That is what you have to understand. See, when we talk about, now in front of your screen, you are looking at a particular answer. Now, this is the answer of one of my students who basically appeared for the interview in 2024, and he also gave the mains this year, a very promising candidate of mine. Now, what you'll have to understand is that this particular answer has been written in a framework of 9 minutes, right? So don't think that this person has used a lot of time. And he has very beautifully justified the demand of the question. The question says, India faces a paradox of food surplus and nutritional deficit. Analyze the structural reasons behind this paradox and suggest reform strategies. He has given a very short and crisp introduction talking about the economic survey. And then he also talked about the food surplus aspect, about the milk aspect, about the eggs, about the rice, and then the nutritional deficit. See how well he has tried to basically address the demand of the question in different subcomponents. Look at this. Now the question is asking about the structural reasons. So he has talked about the monocropping aspect, which was a result of the Green Revolution, then the low storage capacity with a proper diagram, a proper schematic diagram, and then you have the poor value addition in the crops. He has also referred to the economic survey, giving the number, then corruption in the PDS, public distribution system chain, supply chain aspect, lower share of protein rich in Indian plates, situation amplified by the extreme poverty, right? Also given a number with respect to the World Bank report. And then finally, he has talked about the reform strategies, talking about the value addition, rice fortification, technological use, and then you have the green thali nudge, various aspects. What I'm trying to tell you is that, you must be thinking that such a beautiful answer in a span of 9 minutes, but behind this particular answer, there is an effort. There's a practice of almost 900 to 1000 answers. So this person has been practicing on a consistent basis, on a daily basis, and that is the result you have in front of you. Now, the next aspect is we have already come to this particular conclusion that answer writing is very important. But the point is that what in answer writing? If you look at 2025 paper, you'll see that there is a dominance of the question which are related to the current affairs. Most of the questions are rooted in the current affairs. See, let me just give you a brief outlook of the preparation. The whole preparation can be summarized into two parts. One is the static and the other is dynamic. Static is something which is quite easy to understand. NCERT le lo, by Lakshmikant le lo, you take any book, any standard book, static is written almost everywhere. Anyone can understand the static part. Static is easy to write. You can also write, let's say for an example, what are the important features of the preamble? So anyone can write that. Next comes the dynamic part. Dynamic is something which is not easy to understand because it is the applied part of the static. Second aspect of dynamic thing is that it is not easy to write. So you'll have to practice how to basically tackle the dynamic aspects. Let's say the same question, why the word secular should not be removed from the preamble. So this is something which is a dynamic aspect. You'll have to cater. You'll have to understand, you'll have to analyze this particular thing and then write the answer, right? So you need to have an extensive command, a proper command over the current affairs. Again, the biggest mistake which people commit is that they give more importance to the static part in whole of their preparation and do not give importance to the current affairs. And ultimately what happens is in the mains examination, they tend to write the static portions and do not focus upon the important points related to the current affairs. So what is really needed is that you need to have a holistic understanding of the current issue along with the static as the base. देखो static हमेशा foundation रहेगा. That is something which you'll have to understand. But what is to be noted is that you'll have to give importance to the current aspect, importance to the analytical aspect. That is very, very important. Now, what should be the primary source? See, we are living in an age where we have an information overload. There is so much information in the market, be it in terms of the coaching material and the other stuff, that there is a kind of confusion which is there. So what ideally should we referring to, or what is the material on which we should completely rely? The most important material which you'll have to understand is the Hindu. And I'll give you a proof of it, why the Hindu is very important. Newspaper reading, especially the Hindu, is very important. You cannot ignore, and I'll give you the proof. Let's start. Look at this particular question of 2025. It says distinguish between Human Development Index and Inequality Adjusted Human Development Index. Now, see, this is a particular article from May 8th, 2025. It very clearly talks about the Human Development Index, also talks about the inequality aspect. Though the report highlights that 13.5 crore escaped multidimensional poverty between 1516 and 1921, income and gender inequalities have pulled down India's HDI by 30.7%. That is how you'll have to link. You'll have to see that which all topics are coming in the newspaper and why they're important. Let's talk about the another question. What are the challenges before the Indian economy when the world is moving away from free trade and multilateralism to protectionism and bilateralism? One thing, a disclaimer, I'm not promoting the Hindu here, I'm just telling you the reality, right? Look at this particular news column. Rising protectionism, big challenge. India needs new strategic trade roadmap. Its economic survey talked about this. The article is from January 31st, 2025. Look at this. Economic survey suggested framing of a new strategic trade roadmap focusing upon improved export competitiveness. That is the importance of the newspaper. Let's go to the another topic. Explain the factors influencing the decision of the farmers on selection of high value crops in India. One of the very important aspects of diversification in the Indian agriculture. Look at this particular column. Now, this was basically published on June 10th, 2025. It again talks about the importance of high value crops. A cropping model of combined cultivation of coconut, black pepper, banana, and pineapple developed by a particular institute has shown the net return of this particular amount. Look at this. The release said that this particular entity under the Indian Council of Agriculture Research has developed several effective coconut and areca nut based cropping farming systems model that significantly enhance farm productivity, profitability, and climate resilience. Look at this particular article. This is from 31st January 2025. Says that high value sectors such as horticulture, livestock, and fisheries have emerged as the primary contributors to the overall growth of agriculture. See, I'm not saying that word to word you will find the solution of these questions in the newspaper, but at least you can have an indication that which all are the areas which are important. Let's talk about the other thing. Elaborate the scope and significance of supply chain management of agricultural commodities in India. Look at this particular article, The Road to 2047 for Indian Agriculture, August 2024. Says that this necessitates a comprehensive development approach, especially in agriculture. So again, it is giving you a comprehensive, a holistic approach of how to basically tackle this particular aspect of supply chain management. Again, this article gives you a proper graphic elaboration and also says that the economic survey also pointed out the Kharif food grain production in 2024 is projected to reach this amount, which is an increase of this compared with the previous year. Agriculture income has increased at 5.23 annually over the past decade. It said that there is a concerted focus on modernizing the food grain storage systems, particularly in the remote and hilly areas, which reflects a strong commitment to improving the overall supply chain infrastructure. That is how you'll have to understand. Let's go to the next question. Again, very important. Now here we are discussing GS3 questions first, right? The fusion energy program in India has steadily evolved over the past few decades. Mention India's contribution to the International Fusion Energy Project, the ITER, International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor. What will be the implications of the success of this particular project? Look at this article. May 1st, 2025, world's largest fusion project reaches construction milestone with India's help. India is among the 7 main members of the project and has played a key role in building some of its most critical infrastructure. That is how you look at this particular aspect and see what all aspects are given in this article. In a major milestone, scientists working on the world's largest nuclear fusion project have completed its main magnet system, with India playing a key role in building critical infrastructure. This system will power the core of ITR tokamak reactor, which aims to demonstrate that fusion, the energy source of the sun and the star, can be used as a safe and carbon-free power source on the earth. This article also talks about the contribution of India way back in 1955, where Homi J. Bhabha talked about the fusion as an aspect of producing energy. Let's go to the next article. Question 6 says how, and see, I have taken all the questions from 1 to 6, right? I can also, analyze this further if you want in different videos, the analysis of the previous year's questions. But here I'm just giving you the kind of an insight that why the newspaper, that is specifically the Hindu, is of critical importance. How can India achieve energy independence through clean technology by 2047? In this article, we have the emphasis on the energy independence, right? Prime Minister Narendra Modi's call during his Independence Day speech to make India Atmanirbhar, self-reliant in energy sector, is said to be one of the key elements of the country's sustainable growth agenda. Here we are talking about the focus on green strategy. The article is written by Union Minister, right, with respect to the new and renewable energy. And he says that India's energy sector can be defined in 3 words: confidence, self-reliance, and strategic foresight. The article is of 4th of June 2025, right? Look at this. The next part of the question: how can biotechnology can play a crucial role? See this, February 1st, 2025. From waste to wonder, how you can basically utilize biotechnology in conversion of the waste to energy. The team has successfully enhanced hydrogen production with minimizing the environment impact of the biogas generation. Using an upflow reactor, food waste underwent continuous fermentation to produce biohydrogen, a valuable clean energy source. That is how the importance of newspaper is. Look at this, question 7. What is carbon capture, utilization and storage? A direct article was there in the Hindu, and this is of February 2025. What is carbon capture? Also talks about the other aspects of this carbon capture. Let's go to GS2. In the GS2, we had the first question which talked about the corrupt practices. Now, see, what you'll have to understand is, as I said, that newspaper is not going to provide you the full information, the full answer, but it would give you an indication that why these topics are important. See, corrupt practices was in the news. This article is from 2024, April 2022. 22nd of April 2024. On campaigning in the name of religion. What does section 123 subclause 3 of the Representation of People's Act 1951 stipulate? So talked about the corrupt practices. Look at this. Section 123 subclause 3 of the Representation of People's Act provides that appeals by a candidate or any other person with the consent of the candidate to vote or refrain from voting on the grounds of religion, race, caste, community or language is a corrupt electoral practice. Again, we had this article, March 28, 2024, talked about the corrupt practice. So that is how you understand that which all topics are important. Let's go to the next topic. Now, this has been one of the favorite areas of UPSC, talking about the tribunals, right? So we have the courts coming in this particular scenario, talking about, see, the government of India came up with a particular act which tried to control the functioning of the tribunals, and we already had 2 cases. The very first was that of the Roger Matthews versus South Indian Bank, and the other was Madras Bar Association versus Union of India. Now, despite these verdicts by the respective courts, the government came up with the ordinance which basically controlled the way in which the tribunals functions. And what you'll have to understand is that still we haven't set up the National Tribunals Commission, which was basically idolized by the courts as an independent umbrella body to supervise the functioning of the tribunals. So this is a particular topic which has been, it's a kind of an evergreen topic which has been there. So that's the reason we had this particular question. Let's go to the next part. Compare and contrast the president's power to pardon in India and that of the USA. Look at this particular article. This is from December 4th, 2024. Talks about the US President Joe Biden has granted an unconditional pardon to his son who faced sentencing for federal tax and gun convictions. So that is how the commission, the UPSC, tried to assess your understanding with respect to the pardoning powers of the President of India and the President of the US, right? Look at this. Discuss the nature of the Jammu Kashmir Legislative Assembly after the Jammu Kashmir Reorganization Act of 2019. Briefly describe the powers and functions of the Assembly. We have this particular article from December 24, 2024. Now, it says Assembly Speaker on Tuesday, nominated 9 legislators to finalize the draft rules of procedure with which the assembly would be run. So that is what you'll have to understand. This was in the news, and it has been continuously in the news. And a very recent article from August 11, 2025, the Union Ministry of Home Affairs has informed the Jammu Kashmir High Court that the Union Territory's Lieutenant Governor can nominate 5 members to the Jammu Kashmir Legislative Assembly. Now, again, see, this, what it tells us is that we need to be aware of the composition of the assembly, of the Jammu Kashmir Legislative Assembly, and therefore we had this particular question. Every question is rooted in the current affairs, if you just understand. The Attorney General of India plays a crucial role. And Attorney General of India, he was in the news. There were frequent articles. August 20, 2025, Governor can act independently, said by Attorney General. And we had this particular article where we had the Attorney General of India saying that there is a need to promote mediation, right? So if you can just look at this particular article, it says that the conference aims to institutionalize and promote mediation as a primary mode of dispute and conflict resolution across the country. So like this, if you just look at the article, there are 2 aspects which come to the mind. The first is the importance of mediation as an alternative dispute resolution mechanism, and the second is the importance of Attorney General of India, the office of the Attorney General of India, right? Let's go to the next question. Women's social capital complements in advancing empowerment and gender equity. Look at this. Inclusion and empowerment of women pivotal for socio-economic change. Article was there on January 6, 2025, said by the Lok Sabha Speaker. And look at this article. Increasing women's organizations seek focus on increasing female workforce participation in union budget. February 10th, 2025. I can really extend this particular explanation and give you so many, in fact, all the questions are rooted in current affairs. So the conclusion is that the Hindu is indispensable. You cannot ignore the Hindu, and you cannot, the information which is covered in the Hindu, be it the articles or be it the editorials. But sawal ye hai, the question is how to basically proceed from now. See, let's break this particular strategy for the next 4 months into 2 phases. The phase 1 would basically be of 20 days or at max 25 days. And then we'll have the phase 2. What ideally we would be doing in phase 1. In the next 20-25 days, you should focus upon practicing one answer daily. One answer which should be rooted in current affairs. You should practice a question which talks about an important issue with respect to the current affairs, right? Start focusing upon or start giving stress upon the demand of the question. पहले demand समझो, ठीक है? Because many a times what happens is we tend to write what we know, not what is being asked. Next, start focusing upon the structuring. जो पूछा गया है question में, what is being asked, try to structure that in a proper format, right? The general format is the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Next is concept integration. Now, see, what you'll have to understand is when we talk about concept integration, there are 2 aspects. See, first is concept integration, and the second is the interlinking of GS topic. See, the advanced version of concept integration is interlinking with the GS topic. I'll tell you how. Let's say you have a topic which talks about the GST reforms. ठीक है? अब GST reforms जो है, this is a part of GS3. But again, what you can basically link it with is the aspects of federalism in GS2. ठीक है? Or you can talk about the center-state revenue sharing, again an aspect of GS2. Then again, if you want to basically look at the aspect of the sustainable development goals, because recently the government has come up with the GST reforms, so you can also interlink that. One thing can be, the next example can be that of the health. ठीक है? So for example, we have this particular issue of non-communicable disease. How you can basically link it with the GS2 aspect? We have the health as one of the very important topics of GS2. उससे आप link कर सकते हैं. Then we have GS3 कि भाई अगर हम बात करें economic productivity की, if we talk about economic productivity, how we can enhance if we focus upon the health aspect, providing the grassroots public service delivery of the health, right? So like this, similarly we have the climate change, which is an aspect of GS3 environment. आप कैसे link कर सकते हो? Link it with the renewable energy aspect, that we need to focus upon enhancing the renewable energy, for example the solar or the wind, or we can have the green finance, the economy aspect. International relations में आप link कर सकते हो कि भाई basically how India is having its diplomatic approach with respect to the conference of parties. So that is how the concept integration and interlinking works. Next, the most important is please try to develop the habit. ये सबसे important है. रोज एक आंसर लिखिए. That is really going to help you. Now, once you basically cross the phase 1, you enter the phase 2, where the intensity would increase. The number of questions you should practice in this particular phase would increase to 2. ठीक है, 2 questions कर दीजिए. Again, those questions which are rooted in the current affairs, very very important. Now here you will focus upon the enrichment. पहले आपने भाई demand समझ लिया, you understood the demand, the structure of the answer. Now focus upon the enrichment. Use more of the committees, commissions recommendations, Niti Aayog, National Commission to review the working of the Constitution, Sarkaria Commission, Punchi Commission, Economic Survey. Use the data, World Bank, World Economic Forum, like this, so that you enrich your answer. देखो होता क्या है, anyone can write a generic point, but if you write a particular point and if you give a data or a fact, that enriches, that enhances the credibility of the answer, right? Again, interlinking I've already explained to you. This would be a phase where you would basically look into the PYQs. Phase 1 में PYQ मत देखना, you will get demotivated. If you just want to look for the sake of knowing कि भाई किस तरह के सवाल आते हैं, you can do that. But here, once you practice the answers, you would basically develop the ability to understand the demand of the PYQs. And that is how you'll have to basically, you will be able to integrate the PYQs with the current preparation. नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट इज दैट ऑफ टाइम मैनेजमेंट. ये बहुत ज़रूरी है क्योंकि यहाँ पे आप आंसर लिखोगे इन द फेज 1 इन 20 मिनट्स इन 15 मिनट्स. हेयर यूल हैव टू फोकस अपॉन द टाइम मैनेजमेंट. फेज 1 में टाइम मैनेजमेंट पे इतना फोकस करने की जरूरत नहीं है बिकॉज राइट नाउ आई हैव जस्ट स्टार्टेड, आई एम फोकसिंग अपॉन द कंटेंट. इन द फेज 2 आई विल फोकस अपॉन टाइम मैनेजमेंट. From 20 minutes, I'll reduce it to 18 minutes, then slowly to 16 minutes, and further, again and again, I'll try to write the answer in 12 minutes. That is what you will have to understand. ठीक है, धीरे धीरे प्रैक्टिस करते रहोगे तो ऑटोमेटिकली 10 minutes पे आ जाएगा. Not to worry about that. So that is how you'll have to do. But the question is कि भाई sir, you told very good thing, phase 1, phase 2, but from where would I get the quality questions and comprehensive evaluation? See, this is one of the most important things which serious aspirants struggle from. कि सर पहली देखो क्या है कि टेलीग्राम पे, यूट्यूब पे, again with all due respect, there are a lot of people coming up with this thing, but a very unfortunate thing is, a very sad state of affairs is that the quality is missing. ठीक है, तो quality questions का होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. ठीक है, what is preamble, what is the importance of preamble, उससे बाहर निकलना पड़ेगा और उन questions को करना पड़ेगा जो कि in reality exams में आते हैं. ठीक है, so see, what I have done is, on my particular channel, that is the IS track, we have started with a particular initiative which is the 7 PM mains drill. ठीक है, where I choose a particular editorial on the basis of the importance of that topic. I give a summary of that editorial. I give the static portion related to that particular editorial and I give a model question. ठीक है, वो आप पढ़ोगे. Now this is a kind of a demo which is provided here. You can just look. So this was with respect to the Andamans and Nicobar, the project which the government is going to go with. So I basically give a summary of the article, the static portions and the model questions. Right now we are also providing the comprehensive evaluation with respect to the answer, one answer, right? So what happens is the next day, so at 7 PM you have this particular file which is uploaded with the summary, with the static portions and the model question. So the next day by 3 o'clock you can submit your answers and we'll try to evaluate one of the answers. That is what we are trying to do. And again, if you just want to have a look at the comprehensive evaluation, I can guarantee nobody in the industry is providing such an extensive evaluation. Believe me, I'm not overemphasizing, I'm not overstating, but nobody is doing that kind of evaluation. Look at this particular answer. So this was a question and a very beautiful answer was written by one of my students. The governor's role in granting the assent to the bills under Article 200 has been a recurring source of friction. And see how beautifully the introduction has been written. Very good. So we try to also appreciate the students. Then we try to provide the points which are really necessary. For example, in this particular point, the case was not highlighted. So we talked about Novembrabia case. Again here we talked about the case, good substantiation with apt example. And look at this proper good use of impactful keywords. We talked about the other aspects which the student has not referred to, for example, democratic deficit, weakening of cooperative federalism. Okay? So we are trying to give a kind of an evaluation which I don't think anyone else is doing in the industry, be it the way forward, be it the kind of challenges which are there. And in addition to the inputs, we are also giving you this thing. We are giving you a personalized feedback. And in addition to the personalized feedback, we are also giving you the structure which ideally should be there. Introduction, ki bhai introduction kaisa hona chahiye, what should be the introduction. So here we have talked about a particular book by Soli Sorabji, right? In the body, what all aspects you'll have to focus upon, be it the constitutional provisions, source of friction, then how you'll have to basically refer to the cases, right? And that is how you divide the body into different parts. You have this, the first part, the second part, the third part, and the fourth part, right? Second ARC, or the Sarkari, or the Punsi, or the National Commission to review the working of the Constitution, and finally the conclusion. So that is a kind of evaluation which we are providing, a very comprehensive evaluation. So you can also join the channel. You can also start submitting your answers, and then we'll try to pick your answer and evaluate. Again, what I'm trying to say is the golden rule is that prelims तो भाई लोगों का क्रैक हो जाता है. There are people who very easily qualify the prelims, but ultimately it is the main examination which would get your name in the final list. So you can crack prelims without answer writing, but you cannot crack UPSC without mastering the mains answer writing. Very, very important. The next 4 months are very crucial. See, again, I have come up with this particular video because many of the students messaged me personally to have an elaborate session on this, and I thought of putting it on the YouTube so that it reaches to the maximum number of people. So what is needed at this point of time, what ideally you should be doing is, please develop the habit. You can join the particular channel we have the IAS track. Here is a QR code which is mentioned. Please develop this habit and have a commitment. देखो भाई एग्जाम निकालना है ना, अगर the competition is cutthroat, believe me. See, I always say this to my students. I'm not someone who used to, who basically likes to sugarcoat things. I tell what the reality is. Reality is कि भाई competition जो है वो बहुत cutthroat है. There are people who are writing beautiful answers. And one thing which I can say is, if you are putting efforts consistently, your chances of success would also increase. So have a proper commitment. Please start writing. And one thing, see, if I see a good participation, definitely I'll come up with a program, a full-fledged program where I'll increase the number of topics which are being covered in the 7 p.m. mains drill. I'll increase it to 2, and I'll provide the comprehensive evaluation to all of you. But it all depends upon your participation. Again, this is a call to action. If you join this particular initiative, if you join the Telegram channel, the IAS track, and if you practice the answers, you'll be writing almost 150 answers before 15 January 2026. And believe me, if you do that, you will have a boost to your confidence and you're going to be there, most probably. My best wishes. But this is going to seriously enhance your chances of success. So please start writing. Very, very important, crucial time. Prelims की तैयारी हो जाएगी from January onwards. The next 4 months should be utilized for the answer writing part. Here we come at the end of the session. All the best. If you want to connect, you can just join this particular channel. The link is given over here, and also the QR code, and you can directly come, basically connect with me through the admin ID, and I'll be always there to help you. Thank you so much. All the very best. Good night.